A home renovation surprise slaps couple in the face, literally. When it comes to home renovations, it's safe to say that there are always going to be some unexpected hurdles and surprises. Maybe you'd find a secret room, maybe some long-lost chest, or even a hidden antique if you're really lucky. For Megan and Bobby, who were going to renovate the house, they certainly weren't expecting something to practically fall out of the ceiling. Megan and her husband Bobby Kipsitis had bought the house in 2009 for Bobby's mother and were helping her out with some DIY to avoid paying a fortune to contractors who would overcharge and then take longer than necessary. One of Bobby's hobbies including fixing things though, so he was happy to take up the job and fix the leaky ceiling, which looked to have suffered from water damage. Megan was his own little cheerleader and kept her friends posted about the DIY, and those innocent posts would soon document their amazing discovery. At first, Megan and Bobby figured the ceiling would only take a full day or two, but it looks like they were just being hopeful. It was already the end of the first day of tackling the ceiling and Bobby was working well into the night. Megan had already fallen asleep at this point, and though the noise was disturbing her, she was more proud of the fact that her husband was determined to get the job done, even if he lost a little sleep. However, no sleep and tired eyes mean that it's easy to get a little sloppy, and Bobby soon got a little carefree with his tools. He got his hands on a crowbar and started to rip away the ceiling, thinking that he might as well tear it up, speed up the process, and worry about the mess later. However, he certainly wasn't expecting something to smack him right in the face in response to him disturbing its resting place. Somehow managing to avoid falling off the ladder, Bobby got to examine the strange object and realized it was a purse. A leather purse with an alligator design carved onto it, to be specific. Bobby didn't know what to make of this strange item and decided to wake Megan to show her what was going on. Needless to say, both were extremely curious about the object but also thought it was a little creepy. Who did it belong to? You see, Bobby had no knowledge of the house's previous owners, so he had nothing to help him there. Instead, the two quickly opened up the purse expecting to find some lost treasure or even moldy items, but it was empty. That just triggered even more questions. Why was there a purse in the kitchen ceiling? Who put it there? Why was it empty? Unfortunately, there were no answers yet, but Bobby and Megan thought the purse was surely valuable, otherwise it wouldn't have been hidden there in the first place. But that also made them more curious. Were there any other goodies hidden around? With that in mind, they started drilling into the attic, which was above the kitchen, and their instincts served them well, as digging into that ceiling was like opening up a pocket dimension full of items from the past.
And then after he pulled a little bit more of the insulation out, he noticed that there was looked like a book, and it ended up being this wedding album. Pulled away all the plaster and metal grate and everything, his purse came out and hit him in the face.
Right in the face.
Needless to say, the couple was very excited to start identifying all the objects and didn't mind being covered in dust to do so. Bobby was revealing everything he could see, but then he caught sight of something that left him stunned. There in the corner of the ceiling was a note. Something that cannot be there unless purposefully hidden, and that means someone wanted to hide all the items, but why? Well, before they could solve that particular mystery, another item decided to fall on Bobby's head, but this time it was much more surprising, a wedding album.
He noticed that there was looked like a book, and it ended up being this wedding album.
Bobby and Megan immediately headed out to open the album and were surprised it was completely full of pictures and had about 50 pages. Clearly, they'd stumbled across someone's past, a very old past if the black and white pictures were of any indication. My first reaction was, wow, what a beautiful wedding, Megan said. I sat looking through it and thought, we need to find these people. But the question remained, why was the book hidden in the first place? The person who hid it could have burnt it or thrown it away if they really wanted to get rid of it, but instead they buried it safely inside the ceiling. Luckily, Bobby soon found the first clue. Remember that note Bobby found? Well, it turns out that it was a wedding invitation, and invitations tend to have the names of the hosts written on them. From there, the couple found the groom was named Joseph Garguilo and the bride was Marguerite. The date was written as September 14th, while the venue was in New York, which meant the two had traveled to Florida after the wedding. Looking through the album made Megan and Bobby feel as though they were watching a movie, and Megan wanted to know more about them, and especially know the reason behind hiding such an important memento. My husband has digital copies of our wedding album. If one computer crashes, it's on another one. If we leave them somewhere, we can just get them somewhere else, she told her reasoning behind her desire. They didn't have that in 1963, so the photos that you have in the book are the only photos that they have of that day, of their memories that day, and to me that's really important to have.
You know, if it was us and we lived somewhere and moved and lost our wedding album, we'd be really upset.
So she updated her Facebook status and shared her and her husband's recent discovery with the world, hoping the story would spread to more people who'd be able to find more information. The story soon went viral, and Megan and Bobby even got some screen time as they appeared on both Fox and ABC News segments. But they were still far from finding information on the notorious couple. There was one lead where a few sources stated for Marguerite was indeed alive and living in Florida, but Megan was disappointed when she got to the location as the woman had apparently moved and no one knew where. Still, Megan was too stubborn to let go of her search and was hopeful that someday someone would come forward and offer some insights. Well, her hope turned out to be well-founded. One evening, someone finally provided Megan with a solid lead on Marguerite's whereabouts, and she soon returned triumphantly and posted on Facebook that she had indeed met Marguerite and had returned the album. However, she didn't mention anything about Joseph, the groom, and instead said, "I'd like to ask for privacy for Marguerite and her family now. She wants to keep her memories personal and enjoy them with her family." However, with a little digging, the truth did eventually come out. It turns out the newlyweds who looked so happy in their wedding photos actually faced a tragedy. Their marriage had come to a sudden end when Joseph Caguilo died 9 years after the wedding, and Marguerite, after years of mourning the loss of her husband, finally moved on and married another man. Megan then put 2 and 2 together and assumed Marguerite didn't want those old memories getting in the way of her new life, as she just wanted the past to stay out of sight and out of mind, but at the same time couldn't bear to throw away those wonderful memories and hid them instead. Megan remembered the moment she met the old woman and gave her the album. At that time, Marguerite didn't know if she should keep it or not, as she now led a different life and had children and grandchildren. But while Megan felt guilty for bringing back such negative memories for the old woman, Marguerite saw it in a different light and was amazed at Megan's determination to make sure she got the album back to her. Now all parties are at peace with the revelation, and the story finally came to a bittersweet close.